Drinkin Dynasty. Wheels are up on episode 7. I would say this is probably the biggest episode, the most consequential episode we've had so far. We're chewing on the first half, really. And, you know, it's the most impactful picks, rounds 1 through 3 of 12-team rookie drafts. A lot of them are underway. A lot of them are already in the tank for the true sickos like us. But a lot of them are coming in the weeks ahead. So we are here to help you get a feel for where you can expect guys to mostly go, assuming that somebody doesn't tumble down the board in your league or somebody doesn't come leaping out of their seats to go get Bashal Tootin at 7th overall or some crazy shit like that.
Which can happen.
It could. We can't help you then. But assuming there's no psychopaths in your league, this is about where you can expect to see guys go. We have ADP data for six different Superflex Dynasty leagues. The rookie draft's just all completed. Lou, how are you feeling tonight? How are you feeling about your drafts tonight?
Honestly, when the rookie drafts ended, man, I was feeling a little sad because I was so excited to get it rolling, man. It was so much fun. Love making the picks I made. Love some of the trade action going on in the leagues, man. And this is one of the best time of the year for dynasty players, man. Getting into these rookie not mock drafts, the actual rookie drafts, man. So, how did you fare?
Mostly okay. I mean, you know, I've got kind of a target on my back in a lot of these leagues, and so I tried to keep my, you know, keep a low profile. I in one league it went fantastically, even better than I could have dreamed. The other ones, kind of so, kind of just, you know, took the value as it came and got the guys that I kind of expected to be there. A couple leagues I missed on a couple guys, but you know, that's always going to happen. But yeah, no, this is it's nice now because, you know, we're still in the honeymoon phase with these new players. We're like, oh man, the potential. Oh man, if
they're all sexy.
If this guy hits, watch out. And then in the fall, the football's going to happen. And we're like, that wasn't the plan. I wasn't planning for this guy to be playing, you know, 14% of the snaps. What is this? So yeah. Then the actual football will disappoint us. But yeah, in the meantime, we have our delusions of grandeur.
Let's just have fun with it in the meantime, man. Use our imaginations. So.
Exactly. What helps my imagination is libation, sir. What are we drinking?
So today I have Firestone, which is a California beer company. It's Parabola. So I've been sticking with Imperial Stouts lately, man. Texas heat hasn't reached its highest, so I'm going to try to enjoy these while I can.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
It's been nice and temperate here in Dallas too, and I'm with you. Like, you can't be drinking stouts and porters all summer long here. So
hell nah.
All right, I'm gonna get new beer at the store this weekend, Lou. I promise you. But this is one more go around with Mosaic IPA. It's a hitter. It's got what is it? It's 8.6. There are a lot of people like to talk about like all the different notes and the where their hops, what region the hops in their beer come from. What I care about is the ABV, the alcohol by volume, so I know how many of these I'm going to need to get the desired effect. That's what I like to know.
There you go, man. And just to kind of touch back, man, I'm sitting at 14.1, so I'm with you on that, man. So I'm going to be feeling good.
Sending trade offers to Lou now. He's loosened up. Defensive perimeter is down. All right, Lou. So the main course tonight obviously is going to be the rookies, speculating on the rookies, given our who we like at ADP, who we're like, I'm not so sure. So I wasn't so sure about that one. Before that, though, big trade news today in the real world.
Yes, sir.
Talk to us about it, Lou.
Yeah, man. So I woke up yesterday morning. I was getting ready for work, and I looked at my phone, and all of a sudden I see George Pickens traded to the Dallas Cowboys, man. So you live in Dallas, right? So you're a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yes, sir.
How did you feel about this trade?
I kind of like it.
Me too.
From the business side, it doesn't super make sense for the Cowboys, I don't think, because they just paid Lamb, they just paid Prescott. Theoretically, they're gearing up to pay Parsons, and now they trade for Pickens, who is in a contract year. He's not a former first rounder, so there's no fifth-year option. This is his walk year. So either he comes in and he balls, and you have to tag him, or he comes in and he balls and you have to sign him to a mega deal this in the offseason. I don't think Pickens is going to like being tagged at all. Or he doesn't, and then what did you trade for him for? You gave up a third and a day 3 pick swap for a year of a grumpy, underperforming wide receiver. Got a fruit fly in my face. So broadly, I like it. Pickens, I will say, Pickens is exactly what the doctor ordered here. Like CeeDee Lamb is a lot of things, but like a guy who can really make defenses sweat, across from CeeDee. Well, no, so CeeDee Lamb can make defenses sweat at all levels of the field, but it certainly helps to have somebody across from him that actually commands some respect and commands double things, really. And the Cowboys didn't have that. Jalen Tolbert showed a little bit. But George Pickens can drag 2 defenders with him down the field, and when he's in man coverage, he's a real problem. So he's going to have those spike games like he's not Mike Evans, but like a Mike Evans where he's quiet, and then boom, 6 for 150 and a touchdown. So it makes sense from an X's and O's standpoint for the Cowboys that hey, we want to go win football games right now. This definitely helps them do that. I'm not sure what the Steelers were thinking, but clearly they were over the George Pickens experience. Maybe they like Roman Wilson.
So I think hopefully it opens up some targets for Roman and Pat Freiermuth. But I was reading, man. Right, I'm with you on that. Like they were ready to get rid of George Pickens, man. They were kind of tired of him in Pittsburgh. So I think that's why they pulled the trigger on the trade. And Pittsburgh's always willing to trade their wide receivers, man. They have a history of it. So discussing that. What do you think this does? And I think I know your answer based on how you responded already, but what do you think this does for George Pickens' dynasty value?
It's a loaded question. His 2025 value is up. It's got to be because there's just more pass volume to be had now. His dynasty value, I don't think it really changes that much because for me personally, I already had Pickens leaving Pittsburgh anyway. That to me, that was clear that's the way that the wind was blowing. This was gonna be probably his last, maybe his second to last season in Pittsburgh. So I already had him booked for like he's gonna be somewhere else. I guess it's a slight bump because now the chances are better that he's in Dallas long term. I think it's fair to say that you want a good receiver in Dallas versus a good receiver on some team other than Pittsburgh. You don't know what team it's going to be. I would take Dallas to avoid it being like, I don't know, Carolina or the Giants or some crap like that. So I guess it's a small bump from that standpoint. But, I mean, I loved Pickens before. I love him now. So,
Yeah, I think it slightly goes up in my opinion, especially like in the immediate future, like being attached to a quarterback like Dak Prescott, who I still highly believe in. I think people are out on him, and I don't think they should be. I think he's going to come back very strong this season. Having somebody like CeeDee Lamb attract most of the defense's attention, I believe, and George Pickens is going to be able to kind of work the other side of the field, make big plays, maybe be a big touchdown target for Dak, who knows? But in the immediate future, I do love his. I do like him a lot better than what I was seeing with the Steelers, man. But this kind of leads me into my next question. So the Steelers are known, the wide receivers are known to kind of have this curse once they leave, right? You got Antonio Bryant, you got Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster. He did okay after leaving Pittsburgh, but his career kind of went down. Martavis Bryant, thank you. But do you think that's something that follows Pickens because he's known as kind of like being bad in the locker room or as a diva?
I mean, the Steelers wide receivers curse. I mean, a lot of wide receivers get a big contract in free agency or get traded, and they fall off. Like the teams got it on them for a reason. So this doesn't only happen to Steelers wide receivers. It has been happening to them at a higher clip. Certainly, I'll grant you that. I really like Pickens. Obviously his dog factor is dangerously high. Like he's overclocked on his dog factor to the point that it could be detrimental to. He might have CTE ESPN here in the near term. That's possible. That is possible. But I think he's going to be fine. I mean, I think he just wants to play football more than like maybe like a Deontay Johnson or a late stage Antonio Brown. So talk about CTE ESPN. So I'm not saying there's not risk here. Of course there's risk. just given if he winds up, going full Kenny Golladay in 2026 or something and just falling off the face of the earth, you'll have nobody to blame but yourselves. But I still believe like he's one of the more talented receivers in the league. That's just what my eyes tell me.
I agree with you on that, man. And I think he's still 23 years old at this point. So
I want to say, but
maybe
young.
24. So yeah, still very young. And this is, I mean, he's going to be tied up with a really good quarterback, man. So let's see what he does in Dallas. Now, that being said, like when we start talking about the trade, how do you think this affects like Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and somebody like DK Metcalf moving forward?
It's good news for Metcalf. Metcalf and Pickens are too similar in terms of how like DK Metcalf is not running drag routes out here. Like that's not going to be his calling card. He's going to be outside, commanding again, kind of like Pickens now in Dallas, commanding that if you want to make sure that he's under control, you got to bracket him. You got to put that safety over the top to keep him fenced in. You let him, live in man coverage against almost any cornerback in the league. That guy's going to get his ass whipped for 60 minutes. So Pickens out. I mean, it hurts because now teams can just focus on Metcalf as the alpha, but it's more volume. It's more high value downfield splash play type volume that DK Metcalf can still turn into home runs a lot of the time. I don't think he can as frequently as George Pickens can. I think George Pickens is the bigger big play threat at this point. I believe in him to that degree, but whatever. I mean, Metcalf is still a beast, and I think if Roman Wilson turns out to be what we were thinking he might be
I hope so.
12 months ago, I think maybe that suits Metcalf better as a guy who can really be a mismatch out of the slot more of the time. And plus the Steelers have Calvin Austin, which, he could be kind of an X factor, Dante Hollish type player on offense part-time.
He made some plays last year. Yeah,
for sure. Oh,
definitely.
Yeah. Russell Wilson was looking his way in the red zone a few times. As for on the Cowboys side, for CeeDee Lamb, I think it's a push. Like, is his value is his volume cap, his volume ceiling down a little bit? I suppose a little bit, but the quality of targets, the dilution of defensive attention is going to offset that easily. I think it's a net positive for Lamb. I do. It's huge for Dak Prescott. The Cowboys have done everything that Dak Prescott owners in Dynasty wanted and needed them to do this offseason, period. Address the interior offensive line meaningfully with their first-round pick and went and got a serious, I think, one of the top deep threats in the league in Pickens, a guy who you cannot leave in man coverage for long or it's going to burn you. So Dak Prescott's arrow is pointing straight up right now, and they didn't really get a running back, so they can't really run the ball. So it's all in play for Dak Prescott to blast back into like top 3.
You're not a blue believer, man.
Well, I mean, we'll get to that, but they certainly didn't get Ashton Genty. They certainly didn't get Omarion Hampton. So yeah, I'm loving what this means for Dak.
I agree with all your points. I think Dak is CD is still CeeDee Lamb. Metcalf, I mean, everybody still believes Aaron Rodgers is signing there. There's news of them working out together. Not that I think Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers of old, but if he's behind, I think the Steelers have a pretty decent offensive line. And if he's targeting DK Metcalf, I mean, I can see a lot of good targets for him. And I think his value does go up, man, being the number one target there for sure.
Go look at Garrett Wilson's game log before the Devontae Adams trade to New York, and then go look at Devontae Adams' game log after the trade to New York last year if you have any concerns about Aaron Rodgers. One thing he can do, Aaron Rodgers tractor beam locks onto his top receiver, and that's now absolutely DK Metcalf. So, yeah, DK Metcalf owners should be feeling a lot better, sleeping a lot better right now.
Definitely. So, to get into our next segment, Luke, man, we went through 6 Dynasty rookie mock drafts on our Fantasy Index Discord channel. So 6 different leagues drafted. So shout out to our Discord channel for sure.
What's up, Gibbsy?
So what I'm going to discuss right now is I'm going to go over the first round, and I'm going to list the players 1 through 12 based on their ADP, and I'm going to mention the earliest they were picked to kind of give our audience an idea, and the latest they were picked in our drafts. You ready to get started?
I was born ready. I'm raring.
Hell yeah, let's go. So this one shouldn't shock anybody. Like he was number one pick in all six leagues. Ashton Genty.
Yep.
Number two according to ADP, but it was very close. We have Ted McMillan. Of course, the earliest he was picked is at the 102, the latest at the 106. Omarion Hampton right behind him. So we have him the earliest at 103, latest at 105.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cam Ward came in fourth. So he was drafted at 102 at the earliest, 105 the latest. Travis Hunter, man, we'll get into this in a little bit, but earliest 102, latest 106. Travion Henderson was the sixth person. The earliest he was drafted is at the 105, latest at the 107. And then to close off this kind of tier in a sense, we got Quinshawn Judkins, earliest at the 104, which surprised me, but I don't hate it. And latest at the 108. Before I get into the rest of the first round, like any thoughts?
I was surprised at how interchangeable guys 2 through 5 were across these six leagues. Teteroa McMillan, Cam Ward, and Travis Hunter each went second overall in 2 out of the 6 leagues. Hampton didn't go second in any, and yet he had a higher ADP on the whole than Hunter and Ward. It was a good year to have like the 4th or 5th pick in these leagues because you were guaranteed like whatever an equivalent value. You can't tell me any of those guys are going to be more valuable than any of the other ones in Dynasty in the next 12, 24 months. You have no idea. So it was a good year to, just miss the playoffs in your fantasy league.
And the crazy thing so far about the guys I just listed is, there's no guarantee. Like in every draft, even though players look amazing, there could be busts, right? But when you look at everybody's landing spot, like Browns, Judkins, Travion Henderson with the Patriots with Drake May, Travis Hunter with the Jaguars trading up, like all these landing spots, in my opinion, seem pretty good. It seems like good things can happen with these landing spots. So that even makes it better. It almost feels like if you had easily a pick 1 through 7, like you're happy. Like, you're going to either walk away, like let's say you're 6 or 7, you're probably going to get a Henderson or a Judkins, or you're feeling good about that draft.
There's a lot of juice 1 through 7. Like that to me is any one of these guys in 12 months. I mean, any one of them could be the most valuable of the 7 in Dynasty, and it would not surprise me. And I'm including Genty there. Let's be real. Like, I think we have a little bit of 2023 Bijan think descending over us now, which is, Pete Carroll, the Raiders took him so early. 325 touches minimum, bro. He's going to be a workhorse. I don't buy it. That's not going to happen.
Don't tell me that, Luke. Come on, man. That is not going
to happen. No way. They are not running. They used a premium pick on this guy. It ain't 2012 anymore. It ain't even 2016 anymore. They spent real draft capital, real franchise capital in this guy. And teams just don't do that with valuable players anymore. Like even last year, Bijan Robinson, who had a great year, came on very strong. He was still ceding some work to Tyler Algier. They bring in Raheem Mostert. Sincere McCormick showed a little bit before he sprained his ankle and went down for the year. Zamir White is still somewhere in the state of Nevada. We don't know where. Some of these guys are going to mix in. The exact order, I'm not sure. Probably Mostert is going to be annoyingly involved.
I would bet on Mostert if it's going to be one of the 3.
For sure. So I think we're almost guaranteed to have Genty go for like 11 carries week 1, and people are going to be freaking losing their minds. So
ooh, including me,
of course,
if that happened.
And in redraft, that's going to be a fucking disaster. But in Dynasty, it doesn't. That's immaterial. That's not a big deal. But it could curtail his Dynasty market value exploding into like, the top 5 players in the sport enough for like Henderson or Judkins or Cam or any of these other guys to close the gap on him somewhat if they come out and ball in 2025, which, Travis Hunter, he's primed to explode. All he needs to do is be on the field, and he might be now. So, anyway, 1 through 7, bulletproof. If you had a top 7 pick, you got a good one in all likelihood.
Definitely. So let's finish off the rest of the first round. This next guy at number 8, he was one of my favorite players, and unfortunately, I got no shares of him
What?
this year
You got
at the
no
moment.
Igbuka?
Bro, no,
What?
unfortunately, I just wasn't in a position to draft him, and
Wow.
anyways, I might try to work on getting me some Ibuka. So we'll see what
You might.
happens. So
You might.
Emeka Ibuka, he was really consistent.
Yep.
So the earliest he got drafted was the 108. The latest was the 110. So that shows, even though the landing spot kind of like rubbed people the wrong way, people still believe in the talent. And oh, my bad, you're not one of the people that believe in the talent, huh?
Well, so I will point out, Igbuka, yeah, you're right. He was glued to the board between 8 and 10. Mock draft wise, that's exactly where he was going before the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a tick earlier. I was seeing him like 9 to 11, 9 to 12. He went up with landing spot, and that was interesting to me. I would say it was strange.
I will say this, for me, he went a little bit down, but not far. Like I probably would have felt comfortable drafting him at 106, depending on the landing spot. And him going to the Bucks made me kind of push him back a little bit. But that's just my personal rankings
Sure,
in a sense.
sure. And as
The
well
next
you
guy at
should have.
the next guy at 109 is Tyler Warren. Earliest picked at 107, latest at 201. Colston Loveland right behind him, earliest at 109, latest at 201.
Yep.
Caleb Johnson, earliest at 108, latest at 204, which I was the recipient of that 204. I was happy about that one. And then RJ Harvey, earliest 110, latest 203. So that rounds out the first round, man. Thoughts on those last 5 guys?
Yeah, I'm rooting for Igbuka. That's that much I can say with a clear conscience. His dynasty value in 6, 8, 9 months is going to be lower than it is today. Barring disastrous injury, barring just disasters in Tampa Bay.
Godwin, unfortunately, going down again or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, even Evans going down, I don't think really does, because now having Godwin in the way was bad enough. But Jalen McMillan is still around too, and he operates very much from a similar part of the field. Neither one of these guys is ever going to make a lot of hay living outside on the boundary in the NFL. So things are now really congested in Tampa Bay. Igbuka is low man on the totem pole. I know they used a first on him. His value, like Rome Odunze's 2024, is the ceiling here. Sorry, that's just the unless Evans or Godwin go down, that's just reality, and I'm not even putting him there. I'm really not. So
Sure.
does that several receivers got hit with landing spots in really abruptly really crowded receiver rooms, but Igbuka's the most expensive of the bunch, and that's not great. That's not great. Colston Loveland ran Tyler Warren down as the consensus. Tyler Warren was the consensus tight end one in fantasy up until 48 hours before the NFL draft. All of a sudden, we start to hear rumors. This Loveland kid is going to go a lot fucking earlier than any of us thought, guys. Just a heads up. And then, boom, the Bears at 10. I didn't see that coming.
I surprised the hell out of me too, man.
I thought they might get a tight end day 2, but they took him before they took Burden. before they. So, I mean, granted, they clearly went BPA with both picks. But I'm sorry. For me, I'm a fickle man. The fact that Ben Johnson walked straight past Tyler Warren to go get Colston Loveland with his first pick as the head coach. I know Ryan Poles is GM, but that means something to me. That moved the needle for me.
Yeah.
And then whatever, Warren falls to the Colts, who was one of the most popular mock destinations for him to land, and boom, then he lands there. So I now have Loveland to tick ahead of Warren. I went back and really chewed on their tape. And Warren's still a fun player, but I just think the ceiling is higher for Loveland now. Never mind the offense that he's attached to, but I think he's a more true downfield operator than Tyler Warren will ever be. Tyler Warren can get it done in an unconventional way. That's what he did at Penn State. But I don't trust Shane Steichen and the Colts near as much as I do Ben Johnson right now. I just don't.
Yeah. I still have Tyler Warren slightly ahead of Loveland, but I don't
fair.
like you having it the other way. I don't
Yep.
fault that at all. And
Agreed.
then the landing spot can be juicy, although there's a lot of targets. Like they drafted Burden, they still got Rome, they got DJ Moore,
For sure.
but we also know how Ben Johnson loves to involve the whole offense in certain games because there were certain games with the Lions where like Amon Ra got a touchdown. They all got touchdowns, right?
Sure.
So he's somebody I trust as a well when he was offensive coordinator, and we'll see what he does as the coach. So should be interesting, man.
I will say I'll take
How do you
Tyler
love the
Warren
art?
over Loveland in redraft. I think 2025 Warren is the better bet.
I, I think that's fair, definitely. And your take on the running backs, real quick at the end, Harvey and Caleb Johnson.
You know, I'm struggling with Harvey a little bit. I mean, nobody in this draft class got a bigger shot in the arm in terms of their market value than R.J. Harvey when the
Yeah,
Broncos make him the fifth running back off the board. I mean, his dynasty, whatever ticker price was equivalent to like a late second, early to mid third rounder before the draft. And then the Broncos make him, they take him earlier than we were expecting. And it's the Broncos, which is the backfield that, other than Dallas,
amazing landing spot.
was most up for grabs. And he goes rocketing up the board. He is older. He's already 24 and a half. He went to UCF. I
Mhm.
do love the tape. My
Me too.
first comp was like he's store brand Genty, which is that's pretty good. That's pretty fucking good. But his value has shot up so much so fast that I'm like, whoa, let's cool it down. Like he was going to be a third rounder if the Giants took him in the fifth round, but the Broncos took him in the second, so now he's a first rounder. I don't know. I think Caleb Johnson is the more sensible buy long term. RJ Harvey could hit a home run for you in 2025 for sure. For sure he could. I think
Yeah.
Caleb Johnson is going to finish with more career yards. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably say that it's possible for RJ Harvey to finish as the RB number one of the rookies season one. I mean, it's not out of the question because the landing spot with the Broncos, but
What a
I still
statement.
kept Caleb Johnson.
I mean, you're right,
Well,
but
possible.
by
I,
what a
I would I
statement.
wouldn't bet on it, but possible, right? But no, I
Very.
still kept Caleb Johnson in above him in my rankings. I didn't change that. But the Broncos landing spot was very interesting, man. It definitely shot him up the draft board. So,
Yep.
question for both of us: hardest decision between two players in the first round. So, like, let's say you had to draft, you had to pick between two guys.
Hold on. Before we do that, we kind of skipped over Trevion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. We both love them both, correct?
Hell yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
no
Okay.
question,
If
no
you have the
question.
seven, if you have the seven, are you going Henderson or are you going Judkins? I think I know the answer.
I'm going Henderson every time
Yep.
over Jenkins. Just because like I believe in his catch passing ability. He's gonna stay on the field with his blocking. I believe in the Patriots moving forward as an offense.
Yep.
Yeah, Henderson for me above Judkins for sure.
It's a 51-49 split for me in favor of Henderson.
Mm,
I love Quinshon Judkins. He is probably my favorite running back in this class.
nice.
He's
I like that.
He is probably my
Yeah,
favorite running back. I love Genty too, but Judkins, I just believe. I believe this guy is going to be a fucking star. Okay, so yeah,
I love that.
but yeah, they're both good. All right, as you were saying,
Oh, so hardest decision between two players. Like, let's say you had a certain draft spot in one of your leagues, and you were deciding between two players on the board. What was your toughest decision?
in the first out of these guys,
Yeah.
let's see. I was at 2 in one league. That wasn't hard. I was at 4 in a league. That wasn't hard. The hardest would have been being at 6 with Trevion and Quinshon both on the board.
Okay.
That would have been the hardest for me. At 8, I probably would have gone Loveland. I did in several leagues. I guess 11 would be tough too. Caleb versus RJ. I know I would go Caleb though. For me, 6 is the hardest. What about you?
It's the hardest. This one was legit a real spot I was in. It was the three spot. It went Ashton Genty, Tet, and then I had a choice between. So as the draft day got closer for our rookie drafts, Travis Hunter started climbing higher on my rankings.
Yeah.
But Omarion Hampton had always been there. So I actually chose Omarion Hampton, but I have this terrible gut feeling that Travis Hunter is going to be the choice that I should have made. I think if he hits, man, his value is going to skyrocket right away. But I still believe in Amari Hampton. I believed in him all
Sure.
season long. So I'm still very much okay with the choice. I just stuck with my original ranking and hit that draft button, man. But that was one that I was really having a hard time making for sure.
We got
Amari Hampton versus Travis Hunter.
we got Davey in chat saying Judkins. I took Judkins over Henderson, and you should too. Which, hey, I love the conviction. You know I'm with you.
I don't hate it, man. I don't hate it, Davey. So I'm down with it. I'm still choosing Hendo every time, but
And
Judkins is like the perfect running back for Cleveland, man.
and Davey says his top player in tier 2, the Cam Ward, Hampton, Tet McMillan, Travis Hunter tier is Tet. He thinks Tet McMillan is the number 2 player in the draft class. I do not agree at all, but there's a lot of that. I mean, he went second overall ADP wise across these 6 leagues, so a lot of people agree with that. Yeah. I don't. Hampton makes me nervous. Hampton always made me nervous, and at this price, he made me way too nervous to even consider taking. I am really skeptical about Omari and Hampton in the NFL. I think he might be a one-trick pony. I think he might be fancy Rashad Penny. I mean, Rashad Penny had a moment. He had a run in 2021. But, and I'm saying fancy Rashad Penny here, but I just we're talking about a guy who's so big and so strong and so fast that there's and he was playing in such competition that there's a possibility that we're talking about like the Quentin Johnston of running backs in a few months. It's possible. So
I'm hoping that's not the case. Like I watched tape. I get what you're saying. Like their O-line definitely made at UNC. They definitely made big holes for him to run through. So I understand where you're coming from. But I do love that coaching staff. I do love the Chargers organization. I do believe they're going to pound the ball.
For sure.
So I mean, I'm willing to take that shot on Hampton, man.
I mean, Najee Harris is playing for a lot of money this year too. He took peanuts specifically to go to LA. Specifically to go get himself a deal in the spring. He's not going to go down without a fight. I mean, and, we like Najee
too. Maybe. But that first round draft capital means a lot, man, for the Chargers.
I'm
kind of pissed at myself because I was so excited when Najee became a Charger. And now I'm like, damn, I probably should have traded him in one of my money leagues. But we'll discuss that another time. So
he comes out and throws 140 down in week 1. You'll have another escape window. Don't worry.
There you go.
Gibbsy says I traded down F2 and still got Tet. Nice. That's cooking right there. All right, on to round 2, Lou. Let's go.
Let's do it, man. So at the 201 in our fantasy index dynasty leagues, Jackson Dart, he was drafted at the earliest at 111, latest at 205. After him, we have Matthew Golden at earliest at 112, latest at 206. So he fell pretty deep in that league. Luther Burden, earliest at 109, latest at 205. Cam Scadaboo, earliest at 202, latest at 207. Jaden Higgins, earliest at 203, latest at 211. I would have loved to have that 211.
Yeah, that's value.
Jack Bech, earliest at 202, latest at 209. And let's take a break after Trey Harris. Earliest 205, latest 210.
Okay.
So how do you feel about those guys I mentioned?
Well, as you know, I think Jackson Dart is one of the riskiest players you can take in this draft. And I'm including Shadur Sanders in that statement. There's no real basis for optimism here at all. The nightmare landing spot for any player for the last several years in fantasy football has been the New York Giants. And we're not even talking about a can't miss prospect. We're talking about an absolutely fucking can miss prospect in Jackson Dart. I'm sorry, I think he's a dummy. Like just in the couple of interviews I've seen him in, we might be talking about a 2-digit IQ here. And that's not everything, Tom Brady is no Mensa member, but still, like, the Giants had no permission. I believe that Joe Schoen did not have permission to take a quarterback at 3 because John Mara rightly was like, you guys might not be here in October, so I'm not going to let you choose my, the quarterback that I'm married to for the next 3 years. Hell no, you're taking BPA, you're taking Abdul Carter. But after that, go nuts. If you get value on a quarterback, sure, fine, then it's okay. And that's what happened. Jackson Dart made it past the Saints, made
Yeah.
it into the 20s. They went and got him. The Giants are going to be terrible. Like there is no way the Giants are punching their way out of the NFL has never had more parity. There's never been more uncertainty about what's going to happen every year in the NFL. The Giants are the only team we can look at and say they will not win 7 games. That's off the table. That's already done for 2025. It will not happen. We can't say that about anybody else. What's another team that you can say?
Maybe the Titans. Maybe the Titans.
You would bet $1,000 right now that the Titans cannot go 7-10. $1,000.
Maybe like a few hundred. I don't know about 1,000. Maybe
I would put
I don't know if I'm quite there
$1,000
yet.
right now. The Giant to win 100. Dude, shit return. I would still put it down because it's a free $100.
That's
like
funny.
And not that a quarterback can't come out of a bad season with his arrow pointing up. Drake May just did it. It's the exception to the rule for sure. Drake May did overcome clearly problematic coaching, problematic scheme, bad receivers, all of it. I don't trust that any quarterback is going to do that. I certainly don't trust that Dart is, given a lot of the knocks on him.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand in a lot of Superflex leagues, late first. If you have a late first and it's your native pick, what does that mean? It means you were in the playoffs last year. If you're in the playoffs last year, maybe you don't have a lot of holes. Maybe your only issue is you only have 2 viable starting quarterbacks going into the season, and it's a bit of a vanity pick. In that scenario, fine. Then Dart as a dart throw at quarterback makes some level of sense. But right now, you cannot tell me this is any better of a pick than Will Levis was to the Titans a couple years ago. At all.
In terms of dynasty, honestly, anytime I saw Jackson Dart go ahead of me, or if somebody drafted Shedeur Sanders earlier ahead of me,
hold on.
I was
Davey says I'd rather have Tyler Shuck than Dart, straight up. Of course, Davey is a Saints fan, so
he's
he
a
should
New Orleans
feel that
fan.
way.
Yeah, that doesn't count, Davey. Come on, bro.
Shut the fuck up, Davey.
But yeah, anytime I saw those guys get drafted ahead of me, I was excited because I knew a big time player was going to get pushed back towards me in the second round. So I'm with you. Like you're right though. Like if you finish in second place or you won the championship and you want to take a shot on that quarterback, go for it.
If
however,
you were riding like Russell Wilson
I don't know, man,
last year for any number of starts, okay, fine. Then I see, and who is also now in New York, then sure, like shore up your Russell Wilson with some Dart, because I don't think Jameis Winston's going to start more than a handful of games. But yeah, like if you need a
he's
long
far
term,
from a sure thing.
If you need a quarterback that is better than 50-50 to hit, Dart is not the guy. He's just not, and through no real fault of his own. The Giants had no business making this pick. They didn't. Like this, like it made no sense.
So you're thinking they should have just done Russell Wilson and waited until next year?
I mean, under what circumstances is Joe Schoen still going to have this job in November? They're going to start 1-3 best case, and then he's going to be fired. So why take the quarterback at all? So now he's going to be an orphan for the next GM. Like they fucked this poor kid. They did, and yeah. So I'm not real optimistic about Jackson Dart.
I gotcha, man. No, I like it though. I like it. So let's continue with the 208 or the ADP wise 208. We got Basil Tutin. The earliest he was drafted in one of our leagues is 203, latest 211. Now we're gonna hit some quarterbacks, man. We got Jalen Milroe, earliest 202, latest 211. 202. Shedeur Sanders, early. I know I wouldn't have done it, but hey, Shedeur Sanders 202, latest 306. Jalen Noel, earliest 204, latest 306, and Tyler Show. There you go, Davey. Earliest 210, latest 303, and that wraps up the second round ADP wise. So a lot of quarterbacks, man, in that second round. Question for you: out of these 12 players, who did you target the most?
Oh, well, it ain't Dart. I'm not a big Golden guy. I like Burden.
Me neither.
Who did I target the most?
Mm-hmm. You want me to go first on this? Because it's easy for me.
Go ahead.
Cam Scatterbo, man. Mm-hmm. That was my boy. Like in some drafts, he went mid, but I was willing to take him early second, man. Like I had no problem with that.
If he didn't land, I mean, Scatabo also a Giant. If he lands almost anywhere else, we would have seen him go in the first round in some leagues, I think. If he had gone to
Possibly.
well, maybe not New Orleans with Kamara still there, but if he had gone to Pittsburgh, Cleveland, the Chargers, the Broncos,
Dallas.
the Cowboys, like any of those teams, he would have been a first. Frankly, it makes me a little nervous that all those teams let him get by, and then the Giants are the ones to jump on him. That makes me go, what are these other teams not liking about this guy that this jackass team in the Giants likes?
The whole draft was kind of weird because I kept expecting certain running backs to go earlier than what they did. So I think him getting fourth round draft capital is still very good in this 2025 draft. So I'm willing to bet on that. He has Tracy in front of him, and Tracy showed some decent signs last season, but in my opinion, he's going to beat out Tracy. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I mean, they might split carries, things like that, but I think he's the most talented back in that backfield, 100%.
I do like Tracy a lot, though. I don't think he's just going to roll over and die and go away, and I don't think they want him to.
Mm-hmm.
I think by the end of the season, this is going to look like a true 1-2 punch because Tracy can operate between the tackles a little bit, and Scatabo can catch the ball. So, I mean, these guys, it's not like one guy's going to handle all the goal line work. Well, Scatabo's probably going to be in there on the goal line. But it's not, I mean, I think these guys are going to alternate series more than they're going to be specialized, is my initial read on it. Like, they're going to let them just, hey, this is your series, go out there and eat it.
And I'll be okay with that, but would you be willing to bet that Scatabo is going to take the higher percentage?
Higher percentage of touches?
Yeah.
It's possible. I would give him a soft edge, but it's real soft. Tracy was good. I mean, like, I know we love Scatabo, so we're getting a little bit of, rose-colored glasses. Tyron Tracy's older. Tyron Tracy was plenty good, and he obviously is going to win a foot race over Cam Scatabo. So, and not that, we care about that, but I think Cam Scatabo will be just fine with the volume he gets, provided that the Giants aren't, again, one of the 3 worst offenses in the league. That's absolutely possible, though. So
it's possible, yeah.
So, no, I like Scatabo, but I do not like the landing spot. Obviously, who would?
And you kind of answered this earlier, but maybe you'll go with somebody else. Let's see. Anybody that you clearly avoided in round 2?
I will say I targeted Higgins quite a bit. I didn't hit on any of them. There was one league where I wound up with Scatabo where I was like, okay, this Higgins is probably going to be the pick for me because Scatabo is going to go, and Higgins went instead. So I was at 2-7. Scatabo and Higgins were on the board. I was like, okay, boom, one of them's coming to me. I thought it was going to be Higgins, and I was stoked. It was Scatabo. I was a little more stoked. But, yeah, so I was down for Higgins. I kind of wanted to get Jack Bech in a league. It didn't happen because people were hot and heavy for Jack Bech, more than I expected.
I didn't get any Jack Bech, man. I wish I would have.
I mean, he went 14th in the league. That's fucking hot. That's way hot.
That is. So since we're kind of discussing this a little bit, I think my 3 favorite players literally were Scatabo, Trey Harris, which I'm very high on, and Jaden Higgins. But, like, there's so many players in this round that I would have loved to take a shot on. Like, I love Jack Bech, which you just mentioned. And then I didn't really care for Luther Burden's landing spot too much and Matthew Golden. I'm not a huge Matthew Golden guy. But, I mean, I don't fault anybody for taking them when they drop, to the second round at all. So,
yeah, I wasn't really into Harris. A lot of guys are coming around on Harris, like yourself. Like our buddy Boards.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go back and actually watch a substantial amount of Harris. I went in with kind of a preconception that, Harris is a guy who, depending on landing spot, could get boxed into living on the boundary and running a lot of, empty routes. And the Chargers were definitely a team that, with that landing spot, I don't think it helps him because, I mean, Either you believe Ladd McConkey is for real and he is gonna be an alpha going forward, or you think Trey Harris is gonna eat into his workload. There's not enough volume here for both to be true. I just don't buy it. The Chargers went and got Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton. You think Jim Harbaugh saw how they lost in the playoffs and wasn't sick to his stomach that they couldn't run the goddamn football? Absolutely he was. The Chargers are going to fucking run the football this year, period. And, you know, a run-heavy offense can result in big plays intermittently for guys like Trey Harris. Not volume-friendly, though. But I got to go watch Trey Harris, you know, see, like, is there more than, like, a Marquez Valdez-Scantling type role that this guy can really excel in year one? But I was ducking him completely at ADP because I saw, holy shit, this guy's really going in the second. I was like, no, not for me. He's not. I was out, obviously, on darts. I was not planning to get any golden, and I didn't. Milroe, I thought Milroe would be like more of a early third rounder, honestly. And I wanted him in a league or two because obviously who doesn't want that upside? But he goes to the Seahawks. You know, he's a developmental prospect. He's a developmental QB.
Yeah.
Maybe they like him. Sure. I'm sure the Lions liked Hendon Hooker at one point. So.
Yeah, I agree. He's somebody that I would have maybe been willing to take a chance, but not at the cost that it would have cost me. So
I think the lack of quality quarterback options in the first round of this draft obviously put upward pressure on Tyler Shuck, on Shedeur Sanders, on Jalen Milroe. And we got to talk about Shedeur Sanders, obviously. So Shedeur, as you said, across 6 leagues, one league he goes 14th overall, and another league he falls all the way to 30th overall. By far the biggest range of outcomes of any player through the first 2 rounds by ADP. Unsurprisingly, do you more hate the Shedeur at 14, or do you more love the Shedeur at 30?
I love the Shedeur at 30.
Right,
Take the shot at 30. Yeah. At 14, I hate it. Like, I wouldn't, like, don't get me wrong. Like, at the beginning of the offseason, we thought he was going to be potentially a first-round draft pick, that he was going to go, like, mid-first. But after he got drafted in, the 5th round, the second quarterback that the Browns drafted, like, that pushes him back. I talked to you about this before.
Shut up, Davey.
I think he might win the job in Cleveland. So I think taking that dart throw at 306 or whatever the case might be, I think that's a good dart throw. Sure. He could very well start this. Maybe he doesn't start. Maybe Flacco starts and he takes over, or maybe he ends up being the starter. So, but I think that's a very winnable job for him. I think he's a hell of a lot better than Gabriel, personally. But let's see what happens in training camp in the offseason. But that 14th overall, that's way too early, man. If I was in that draft, I'd be very excited if somebody decided to take him at 102.
If I told you, and didn't tell you anything else about how the season for the Browns is going to go, but if I told you, if I could promise you right now, Shedeur Sanders will be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in weeks 16, 17, and 18. I don't tell you anything else. Does that change how you feel about it versus, 14
What's
versus
the
30?
record at the end of the season?
What's that?
I'm like, what's the record at the end of the season?
Sorry, black box. You don't get to know.
Yeah, it changes a lot, man. Because I think I've said this before. I still believe in him. I think he can be a very, I'm not gonna say like top tier quarterback, but I think he could be a decent quarterback in the NFL. I think he has the potential to do that. I move the offense. So if you told me he's gonna get the starting job in Cleveland, I'd be pretty excited about having him as like my 3rd quarterback on my dynasty roster.
The thing for me, the thing with Shedeur is until like Valentine's Day, until the combine, this was a guy who had the physical tools, had the college production track record, where teams were willing to hitch their wagon to him as a franchise quarterback until they got to know him, and then they went on a couple dates with him and they realized he's a douchebag, and they really didn't like that. Obviously, all the rumors about like, oh, Brian Dabble, hoodwinked him with some intentional errors in a whatever playbook install that Shedeur should have caught and didn't, and therefore Brian Dabble called him on the carpet for it, and Shedeur got a bug up his ass. That's why the Giants wanted to talk to him again, right before the draft, wanted to have another workout with him. So anyway, obviously the hit that was put out on Shedeur in the NFL draft is visible from space. Mm-hmm. I mean, the NFL word got around like wildfire, and that torpedoed Shedeur down the board. I don't care about that because there's a lot of value potential in that. My issue is that why were teams not willing to put up with the bullshit? It's because his physical traits aren't that great. And they're not. Like, he does not have a cannon for an arm. The velocity is very hit or miss. And that was what really jumped out to me on the tape was like, he almost gets more on the ball when he's on the run than when he does from a pocket, standing, stepping into the throw in the pocket. It's really weird. And I don't love his throwing mechanics. So that to me is like the greater concern. I mean, there's a lot of value in Shedeur now. Certainly in the third round, it's a great pick because he could be the Browns starting quarterback in week 1, 2026. Shedeur has a better chance of starting a significant number of games for the Browns in 2026 than Tyler Shuck has for the Saints in 2026. I'll say that right now. And he's cheaper. Yeah. Well, he's cheaper in some leagues. So
some leagues, yeah.
So I mean, he's kind of the inverse RJ Harvey, where RJ Harvey, what happened in the draft, shot him so far up the board that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Like, we did not have this guy being a consensus first-round pick until he goes.
Yeah, for me, I think he was like mid to late second before all that happened.
I mean,
yeah,
maybe you're willing to say like, no, I kind of saw this coming. I don't think most people saw Shedeur falling out of the first round of fantasy drafts altogether before the NFL draft. We knew it was like, oh, he might be in for a slide. None of us saw this coming. So we are still talking about a guy that, as far as we were concerned, we were like, okay, he might slip, but he's a first-round pick in fantasy drafts this year, in rookie drafts. That's out the window. That in and of itself implies a lot of value because we assumed he was a guaranteed across-the-board top 10 pick. So Shedeur at 14, after what we saw in the draft, obviously that seems high. How do you hate it? How do you really hate it for a guy that we thought – I mean, in February, I had Shedeur ahead of Cam Ward. I'll admit it. I did. Not by much, but I had him ahead of Cam Ward a little bit. And then obviously that's been flipped completely on its ear. So if you can block out the noise of the last 2 months, which is very hard to do, granted, but there's a lot of potential value there. I mean, this guy could turn it around. He could.
Yeah. And I think I'm in agreement with you, but I also think it's about picking your spot. Like in a league, if my memory is correct, I took him at the 303. And I felt very comfortable taking him there because it's the third round. Let me shoot my shot. There were some running backs I really wanted to draft at the 303. Like, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Of course.
But I'm like, man, like if Shedeur somehow becomes a starter, whether I decide to trade him, whatever the case is, his value is going to shoot up, right? So that's where I felt comfortable taking him 202.
Sure.
Not after he fell to the fifth round.
I wouldn't have done it either. But kind of the same argument with Dart. Like, if you're at 14 overall and your roster's biggest issue by far is quarterback, which I happen to know, the guy who took him at 14, the fixed quarterback, and you're a contender, period. And Dart's already off the board. And I mean, like I said, Shedeur at even late second ADP, overwhelmingly prefer it to Dart late first, early second. Overwhelmingly. So, yeah, like, I can't say it's wrong. I can't say, like, if you're at 2-2 and whatever, I mean, a lot of leagues you can't trade down. That league, trading down, forget about it. It's not going to happen. And whatever, you just don't want to waste the time. You're fine with, like, hemorrhaging a little perceived value, to just get your pick submitted and maybe hit on it. I don't hate it. I mean, Matthew Golden, Luther Burden, they might be nobodies. They might. They're not surefire things.
It's possible. Definitely. All right, Luke, you ready to get into the third round of the Fantasy Index ADP rookie draft?
Let's close her out before next week's episode, chewing through all the late round guys, the sleepers, the truly baseless speculation. First, we go to round 3.
Let's do it. This was one of my favorite guys, and he fell so far in the draft. But at 301 ADP wise, we have Devin Neal. Drafted the earliest at 208, the latest at 309. I thought your Cowboys were going to draft this dude, man.
This was the opposite RJ Harvey. I thought Neal was going to be where Harvey went, and I thought Harvey might be down around where Neal wound up going. So, yeah, Neal.
I was surprised, bro. 6th round. Like, I don't know what happened there.
Well, that might be next week when we get to that. But, yeah, Neal, I was shocked. Like, why is it? I mean, I won't say I'm shocked. Devin Neal does not have a killer app. Like, he's not crazy big. He's not crazy fast. He's not a surgical receiver out of the backfield. And he doesn't make you like miss in a phone booth. He's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. And that killed him. That sunk his stock.
Killed him.
So
Yeah. I'll be honest, I love the film on him though. Like I love the way he moves. I love his vision.
For sure.
So even though he got picked in the 6th round, I still believe.
Sure.
This is a guy I actually saw you drafting a lot. Kyle Williams.
Yep.
Earliest he went is 211, latest 304. Mason Taylor, earliest 210, latest 310. Dylan Sampson, which was another dude I really loved. He's going to be the backup for Judkins. Earliest 209, latest 308. This shit surprised me. Jaden Blue, earliest 212, latest 307.
Yep.
Pat Bryant, earliest 303, latest 402. And Jarquez Hunter, earliest 305, latest 403. And I'll kind of take a little break there just in case. Did you have anything you want to mention about these guys? Any of these guys?
I mean, Bryant and Hunter, those were two guys that I think a lot of people had like, oh, that's a sleeper. Nobody knows about him but me. And it turns out other guys did know about him, and those were guys that kind of flew under the radar and went.
We have a guy in our Discord channel, 24, man. He was all in on Jarquez Hunter, man. So that was his guy. So and then
balls,
Pat Bryant,
all in.
Yeah, and then Pat Bryant, man, he got some draft capital plus. Sean Payton said what he said he reminded him about Michael Michael Thomas, and I think that's all people need to hear. So that definitely pushed them up.
Yep.
To continue the rest of the draft, at 208 ADP wise, we have Jalen Royals, earliest 305, latest 405. This one surprised me. Alec Ayomaner, earliest 302, latest undrafted.
Yeah.
DJ Giddens. This is another one of my favorite running backs as well. Earliest 306, latest 404. And then we have Harold Fannin Jr., earliest 301. This surprises me. Latest undrafted. How did he go undrafted? And then same with this guy. He was one of my favorite tight ends in the later rounds. Elijah Arroyo, earliest 305, latest undrafted. So I don't get how he goes undrafted in 4 rounds.
Especially, yeah.
And then this guy barely missed the cut, so I just want to give like an honorable mention to Terrence Ferguson,
Sure.
Earliest 307, also latest undrafted.
And
I'm surprised by all those undrafted.
And,
so
qualifier. When we say undrafted, we mean we have 4 rounds in this rookie draft, and in 1 or 2 of these drafts, these guys didn't go in the first 4 rounds. In a 5-round draft, these guys all would have gone. So,
definitely.
But yeah.
And also, we'll say this, that we don't play tight end premium, so that's a little something as well. But
exactly where I was going.
Still surprised.
Yeah. Harold Fannin Jr. played pretty much like I expected because he is a weird prospect. He does not have conventional tight end size. He's not really a tight end. He's never going to be used like a real tight end. He's going to be used as like a super slot guy who can occasionally even flex out wide. How do you ignore? I mean, he ate the entire Bowling Green offense as a true 20-year-old. Mm-hmm. He put up Tyler Warren's numbers as a true 20-year-old. Granted, Bowling Green is Bowling Green, but still. But he's also a weirdo. Like, he's undersized. He does not have demon, straight line speed. He runs like a 4.7, and he's kind of duck footed. Like if you watch him run, running down the field, running with the ball, his feet are pointing in 2 different directions, like 100%. They're both pointing outside his shoulders. So he's a weirdo. But he's got a devout following already. I saw a couple guys reach on him. Mm-hmm. Keith in the Discord, one of the main ones. So, the use case there is pretty straightforward. David Njoku, this is the last year with real money. He could be gone in 2026. We don't have any idea what the Cleveland Browns are going to look like in 2026. We have a ton. Probably no team has more new faces on offense than the Browns do. going into 2025. That seems like a pretty safe statement. So Fannon's an interesting one, probably long term. Things are crowded in Cleveland right now. Judy, Tillman, Deontay Johnson shows up. I'm not sure that he makes the team, but he's there right now.
Yeah, the contract wasn't that great, right? It doesn't give you much
No
assurance. Yeah,
no guarantees.
yeah. So, and I think that's his own fault. So,
yeah, for sure. Deontay's biggest enemy is Deontay. Circling back, I think Devin Neal is a great long-term buy because we do like the tape. We do believe in the player. The NFL.
Kamara's aging out.
And Kendry Miller, we don't know. I mean, it's a fair fight at the very least. They both have an equal shot at being the successor. Probably both would just be replaced by a future running back with more cachet, more pedigree. But whatever, until it happens, it hasn't happened. The 2025 NFL draft, we saw athleticism have a premium placed on it. Isaac Tesla, who we're not even going to get to tonight, goes in the third round as a guy who did next to nothing statistically in college because he's a fucking physical freak. He's a freak of nature. Yeah. So he goes rocketing up the draft board while guys like Scatabo, who is never going to win a foot race against most NFL running backs, and Devin Neal both get sandbagged. I think Neal is a solid bet long term to return fantasy value. In 2025, he needs injuries, but at this point in the draft, take best player, and Devin Neal is one of the best players left at that spot for sure.
He is.
Kyle Williams is a home run swing.
So
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say Devin Neal was somebody I thought I was gonna walk out of the draft a lot with, and I just like Emeka Buka, I ended up with none, and he was one of my favorite guys going in. Yep. You mentioned Kyle Williams, so this might be the answer to your question. Favorite round 3 dart throw?
Favorite of these 12? I mean, I like Jarquez Hunter for the exact same reasons that 24 was so obsessed with him. Kyron Williams, the Rams and Kyron Williams are talking about an extension, but they're just talking. Talk is cheap. Contract ink is what matters. And Blake Corum did not make it clear that he was next in line. So that's a great dart throw. Pat Bryant's got to be up there. I mean, obviously I was all about Kyle Williams, but the Broncos offense, going from what we know right now, looks to be in better shape for 2025. Maybe you like Drake May more than Bo Nix. I'm sure a lot of people do, but there's a lot more questions around Drake May still than I think are around Bo Nix. And Pat Bryant, he could be the successor to Cortland Sutton as early as next year. Probably not, but it is possible. Kyle Williams, I took because there isn't even a Cortland Sutton here. I know Stephon Diggs is there, but it's really a 1-year deal, and
coming off the ACL too, man. So
the Patriots had so much money to spend. Marks. They're just like, hey, if we get something out of Diggs, great. It helps Drake May's development or whatever. So, I mean, Kyle Williams, there's nobody really in the way. Kayshon Boutte and maybe Pop Douglas are like the best receivers that are going to be on the field for them in week 1. That's not much.
Yeah.
So, a lot of guys really were hot and bothered for Kyle Williams in the draft community going into the NFL draft. I liked what I saw, and he had a good combine. He ran like a 4.4 flat, and he's played in a lot of different systems, put up consistent production. Kind of undersized, he built kind of like Jordan Addison. So, but I mean, the opportunity is going to be there. If he comes in and has a strong camp, he could be operating as the number 1 in September. So that's legit.
Yeah, honestly, thank you, because like I saw you targeting him in some leagues, and it caused me to kind of like take a deeper dive and take the shot, man, because he could very well be the wide receiver 1 potentially for the Patriots. We don't know, right? So that's a good dart throw to take. A dart throw that I like because I liked him before the draft. I like DJ Giddens. I don't wish injury upon anybody, but if Jonathan Taylor happens to go down, bro.
God forbid. Yeah, I mean, it's guys like Devin Neal. There'll be more running backs we talk about in the next episode. Jarquez Hunter, talented players, guys with a lot of potential, but there's not even one guy that they need to hurdle. There's like 2 or 3. DJ Giddens is one of the few guys where you can say, like, this guy goes down, he is an every week starter in fantasy. That's it. Period.
Exactly.
That used to be how the NFL worked. It's not anymore, but Giddens is an exception to the rule. Jonathan Taylor's awesome. he does like to miss games. That has been a problem for him. So
unfortunately,
yeah,
so
Giddens was a must draft if you had Taylor.
definitely. So we're getting close to the end, man. What are your overall thoughts of the 2025 rookie draft in your dynasty leagues?
My thoughts were that it was a better class than it kind of got a rap for being. In
Exactly.
comparison, I mean, and what was it being held up to? It was being held up to the 2024 class, which was unbelievable. I mean, the 2024 class, you couldn't go wrong with any of the first rounders. Even even into the early second, like, I don't love him, but Xavier Worthy was like an early second round pick in a lot of drafts. Lad McConkey was. Ricky Pearsall certainly was. Hasn't so much happened yet for Pearsall, but we're optimistic going forward.
I believe though. Yeah.
A lot of shade was thrown on the 2025 class, and I think it was underrated. And the depth of the class was underrated. I mean, there are guys that we didn't even talk about tonight that are going to be fantasy relevant in 2025 and 2026. 100% positive of that. So
yeah. So I agree with everything you're saying. Like going back to last year's rookie class, like the first round hit so strong, man. Like
crazy.
pick 108 was like sometimes BTJ, sometimes Bowers fell, etc. To me, this draft was more fun. And the reason I say that is because I found myself wanting to trade in for late seconds, late thirds, early fourths. Some like Arroyo was sometimes being picked in the early fourth. Like, man, can I trade in for that? Versus last year's class was so strong at the front, but the second, like late second, third, fourth, I wasn't so interested. Like I felt like this draft kept me like engaged like all the way through because there were so many guys I wanted to take a chance on. And like you just mentioned, there's some players we haven't even talked about yet that, man, they're an injury away or a few years away from getting a shot at the running back position or whatever the case may be. So yes, it didn't have the heavy hitters as the 2024 class, but this draft class was definitely deep. Definitely deep. And there's players all throughout it in every single round that have potential.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm excited to dive into some of the guys that we're going to talk about in our next episode in a few days because they've had way less ink already spilled on them, and we can really roll up our sleeves and speculate wildly, baselessly. So that'll be a lot of fun. But for now, we cut ourselves off before we get too lousy drunk and start taking advantage of each other via trade or otherwise. Houston ain't that far, Lou. You're not that safe.
It's not that far, bro. I think you mentioned like a Buc-ee's we can meet up at, bro. So
Madisonville. Boom. I'll meet you there. So many bathrooms. Nobody will hear us. All right. Enough of that. Enough of that type of stuff. We will be back with you guys next week. We're going to talk about round 4, priority waiver claims, and the deep waivers. The deep state. No, the deep sea. Yes. All right. Well, Lou, good rapping with you as always. Oh, wait. Let's see.
Same.
Let's see. Oh, we got some live ones in the YouTube chat. All right, I'm gonna kill the stream, but we're gonna hop over to the chat and go yuck it up with Caveman Pat here.
Let's do it.
All right. Killing the stream for now, folks.